Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Bamcomixs. I'm OC, your host. Remember, if you're watching, please support the channel by hitting that like, hitting that subscribe, hitting those notifications. Let's just jump into this one. This is episode 7, and this one is called The Believer. So this chapter was really good, guys. Mind you, I'm gonna get into spoilers, so if you're watching this, just know that this episode to me was a 5-star episode. So if you're gonna watch a little bit more, just know that we're gonna talk spoilers, okay? The Believer was an excellent episode. Let's start with just a recap of this episode and my favorite things. Actually, everything in this episode to me was great. It just had a mix of Mad Max, and it had a mix of Inglourious Bastards. So it was just like a mix of a couple of awesome movies that we've seen in the past, starting with the great acting by comedian Bill Burr returning as Mayfield. Now, you may know Mayfield in season 1 as part of a ragtag gang that wanted Mando to help them break out the prisoner. And so I'm so happy to see Bill Burr back again in Star Wars. I thought he was great in Breaking Bad. So now he's on this planet. He's serving a sentence because of the events of the prisoner. Mando put him away already. So he's just on this planet. It's a scrapyard of a planet with all of these TIE fighters. And he's just a prisoner designation 4467 or something like that. And he's just, he's breaking down TIE fighters. And it's just like for scrap. And it's crazy. It reminded me of the scene in the video game Star Wars Fallen Order for PS4. That opening scene was really cool. So appears Cara Dune already abusing her authority as a marshal to tell this robot who's guarding Bill Burr's character, Mayfield, you know what, we need him. The New Republic needs him. We have something for him to do. So his sentence right now is going to be interrupted. Let's take him with us. So the reaction on Mayfield's face is like, what? When he sees the Slave One just drop down in there and he sees Boba Fett, he's saying, wow, you remind me of some other guy. I'm so happy he's not here. And Mando shows up. And so Mayfield is like, what? Mando's back? So that definitely was crazy. They need him to get the coordinates to an Imperial transport because that's the only way that Mando can rescue this little guy who's been taken, Grogu. You've been taken aboard Moff Gideon's transport. So Mando is coming for you. But Mando needs the locations, he needs the coordinates, or else he won't be able to, locate the child, and then he'll be gone forever. Well, too bad they blew up an Imperial base in the last couple of episodes where he could have had the device to locate the child. But anyway, Mayfield lets Mando know that he's not doing it, okay? Mayfield's like, this is heavy. There's no way you're gonna track Moff Gideon. But there may be like this planet that we can go to, and right there they have a secret Imperial mining base. And the name of the planet escapes me. Hold on. What's the name of that planet? Morag, I think it is. So Morag, the planet, right, where they have this mining. I've never heard of this planet in all of the Star Wars movies. So this must be a new planet, and the Empire is using it to harvest material. And I even forgot what the material was. But everything in Star Wars has a specific name. Maybe one day we can do a Star Wars video where we actually get down to the specifics and names of every single material, planet, and substance, because that's why Star Wars is so great. Like, the whole world feels alive. So they land on this planet, and the mining operation that the Empire has on this planet to harvest new materials requires them to have these large transport juggernaut tankers that are like 12-wheelers. I think we might have seen them in Rogue One, but there's these huge tankers filled with this like explosive substance that the Empire is mining, And their plan is when Mando and Cara Dune, like Mando has his posse, all right? Like aboard the Slave One, who do we have? We have Mando, we have Boba Fett, we have Fennec, and we have Cara Dune and Mayfield. So they're looking at all of, they're like perched on top of like this, you know, they're on the lookout. So they see the Imperial transports hauling the material. And basically they're like, you know, we gotta form a plan. How we're gonna get down there. Already they know that that remnant Imperial base is already taken over, and that base has a technology which is, you know, if they scan your DNA and they know that you're in the system, you're gonna be identified. So Fennec can't go, Cara Dune can't go, and Boba Fett can't go. So that just leaves Mando and Mayfield to hijack one of these Imperial juggernauts and Trojan horse go into the Imperial secret mining base, go to the computer, and that's where they will have the coordinates for Moff Gideon's ship, which they can then use to go and rescue the child. Okay, so basically, as one of these transports goes into this underground tunnel, Cara Dune comes out, whap, whap, knocks out both of these Imperial stormtroopers, and they're done. The drivers are kaput, and now it's time for Mando to do something that Mando wouldn't do. This is the crazy episode. Like, this episode was so good. The writing on this episode, the director, everything. It's just when Mando has a code, he doesn't take off his helmet. He cannot. It's just against his code. Well, in this episode, he puts on this Imperial outfit. Once Cara Dune knocks out the soldiers and gives them their uniforms, you see Mando come out in this outfit, and it's just Mando all the way. You still know he's Mando, but he has this Imperial outfit on. So they're in the transport now with Mayfield, and he's driving, and you know, Mando being Mando, he's not gonna talk too much, but Mayfield does all the talking. And I thought that this was a great opportunity for Mayfield. Mayfield, like, you know, I hated his character, but in this episode, it's sort of like, you know, he's ex-Imperial. So that's the reason they need him, because as an ex-Imperial, he knows all of the codes, he knows, you know, he was ex-Imperial, so he knows everything. So that's gonna really help him, that intelligence. So Mayfield is just basically saying how, like, this planet of Morak, there's people suffering, and it doesn't matter. It's like, you have the Empire, and you have the New Republic. And on both sides, you know, someone is still getting ruled. So is the New Republic that much different from the Empire? Later on, we'll see how they are different. But for now, you're just seeing that people are suffering, whether it be New Republic, Empire. The fighting is never going to stop. People are going to continue to die, whether it be at the blaster of an Imperial stormtrooper or New Republic. So it's crazy, you know, the dialogue right there, that monologue, because Mando doesn't say anything to that, but, you know, he has a point in a lot of ways from a certain point of view, you know, as an Imperial stormtrooper. Like, all of this fighting is like, people are going to be dying. Is it good for them? So as they're, you know, transporting this, and Mando, he tells Mando something else too, like, you have a code, but when things get desperate, you're gonna break that code. You know, you're gonna do what benefits you in the moment. So look, Mando doesn't take his helmet off. Now look at him. Now he has an Imperial helmet or whatever. But Mando is quick to remind Mayfield that they're nothing alike, even though they both fought, even though they both have their certain views, they're nothing alike. And that's where we get into the pirates, baby! The pirates, so far, people have left them alone in this transport. But these pirates that have been destroying these transports, as Mayfield continues to drive, he sees relics of other transports that have been blown up. He sees a whole bunch as he approaches the base. So he was like, yo, this is not good. It looks like we might be the only ones, you know, transporting this material. And out come these pirates. So Mando takes his blaster. I'm going to take care of this. You keep driving to the base. And Mando, man, in this scene, this was the Mad Max scene. This is what it felt like, Mad Max. They had this whole fuel tanker that could explode at any minute, and you have pirates trying to come and completely sabotage Imperial, you know, mining operations. It looked like these pirates didn't want to steal anything. They just wanted to destroy all of this stuff, so probably the Empire could leave, those remnants of the Empire could leave, and they could rule the planet, because it's like, according to Van Hess, Imperial Commander, the New Republic is in disarray. You know, the New Republic is just like the Wild Wild West. You know, you can see that from the opening scenes of The Mandalorian. Even the sound of The Mandalorian, it's like the Wild Wild West. Mando goes out in his Mad Max style with his blaster, and he takes care of these pirates. Man, that scene was beautiful. Like pirates after pirates after pirates, and there he's shooting them with his blaster. When he runs out of blaster, he goes hand to hand with these pirates. It's beautiful. It's definitely Mad Max, yo. And it's great. I loved it. Now, as they were about to be destroyed by the pirates, because only so long that Mando could last, in swoops these two TIE fighters, and boom, saves the day as the Imperial Juggernaut transport goes into the base, and everyone is clapping for them, you know, kind of just like how the Rebels clapped after the Death Star was blown up with the X-Wing. Imperial stormtroopers here are like cheering them, like, yeah, it was so weird to see that, but so cool, right? It's like you're seeing the same scene, but from this Imperial point of view. So it was really nuts when they got inside the base. So they're almost at their objective, right? They're almost there. They find a mess hall. So Mayfield tries to go inside, right? He's about to like get to the computer, and then he recognizes one of his commanding officers from back in the day when he was Imperial, and he sees him, and he immediately turns around and leaves, and tells Mando, "Listen, buddy, I can't go in there. You know, I have like a guy who I served under him when I was an Imperial, and you know, he might know me. I'm not gonna take the chance that he recognizes me. I gotta get out. Too bad, like, I'm out. I can't do this." So Mando stops him and says, "No, I gotta do this, because if I don't get the coordinates, I'll lose the child forever." So he grabs this data stick, and he's like, "I'm gonna do it." So he grabs it from Mayfield, goes in there. You know, he hasn't removed his helmet, so they don't see who he is. But when the Imperial officers is looking at him like he's acting weird, because he manages to put the data stick inside the terminal to access the coordinates for Moff Gideon. But since the face scan scanned his helmet, it was going to sound an alarm in like 10 seconds, right? It wasn't him. So he lifts up his helmet. It scans his face, he gets the data. I mean, listen, there's a whole bunch of plot things in there that you could be, if you're really nitpicky about it, you could be like, why did the alarm sound anyway? You know, his face isn't in the registry of stormtroopers or whatever. So, you know, this part reminded me of Inglourious Bastards of Tarantino's movie. When the Imperial officer who's watching Mando in the corner there of that mess hall sees him, he stands up and he asks Mando, "What's your designation, trooper?" He's like, "Trooper!" Like that. And you're like, oh my god, they got him. They're inside of an Imperial remnant base, guys. This thing is crawling with like hundreds of Imperials, and they're the only two there. Who's watching on the outside? Well, you have Fennec and Dune with 2 sniper rifles perched up on a lookout overlooking this Imperial base. Now, on the roof of the base, man, I love the fact that this season we got Imperial bases. Let me tell you, that is so sweet. And we see different Imperial bases. This base was actually an energy producing base. As you can see that it was built into the side of a dam. So there was water going into it. But the base also served to harvest material, which is, I think it's called Relidium or something like that. But it's super explosive. So maybe that's what they harness from the planet. So, as one of the only transports that brought that material back, the commanding officer was just like, oh yeah, you're the guys that brought that, the only one who brought the transport back. Before that, he was asking Mando his number, his rank, and Mando was like, oh, transport. And the commanding officer is like, what's your TK number? I have no idea what that is, but like, what's your TK number? And this Mayfield comes out and says, oh no, he's like hard of hearing. So he's like, trooper. And I'm like, oh, he's gonna get caught. Come have a drink with me. What do you call yourself? And every time this commanding officer, which is, you know, played by Richard Brake, right? This guy was a former Night King on HBO's Game of Thrones, but he was also worked with Rob Zombie in his, you know, Devil's movies. So this guy is a great actor. And I thought it was cool because since that actor plays already a lot of other villains in movies, like I like how this series also, you know, they took actors and like actors known for playing bad guys and they put them as Imperial soldiers. I thought that was great. I thought that was great that they did that they put actors known for playing like villains in the past, they made them Imperial soldiers. So they sit down in the mess hall, right? He's like, let's have a drink. He calls them brown eyes. Because that's what Mayfield calls Mando. He's called them brown eyes. So they sit down, right? They're like, the commanding officer, he's like, what are we going to have a toast for, right? We could toast to the Empire or whatever like that. And, man, this is the part that I thought was the really tense episode that reminded me of the Tarantino movie when they sat down, right? And so like this guy is like, what are we gonna toast to? Mayfield's like, let's toast to Operation Cinder, right? Now, this part of the back lore of Star Wars might not be known to a lot of people, but in the books and in the novels, right? And in comics and everything, like there's a lot of Star Wars backstory, right, that could fill in the subplots, but apparently Operation Cinder took place in Burning Khan, and in this planet there were Imperials that were there, and I guess in the Imperial fashion is that they're known to sacrifice their own soldiers to get whatever they want, like whatever they want to do, like if they need to catch an objective, right, if they need to secure that objective, they will sacrifice everybody that's working with them in order to get that objective. They're all expendable. So if you're working for the Empire, just know you're expendable. And in that Operation Cinder, it looked like between 5,000 and 10,000 Imperial troopers died when they wanted to completely destroy that planet. And Bill Burr's character, Mayfield, was among one of the people that was in that operation. So as an ex-Imperial, I think now is that we get to see really his true character. As I mean, before he was just like, you know, the New Republic, the Empire, there's really no difference. But here's where we see the difference when he talks about this Operation Cinder. Because a whole battalion of stormtroopers or whatever had died. And you see the commanding officer is like, well, yeah, you know your history, because I had to make a lot of terrible decisions that day. So that commanding officer, he was actually overseeing part of the operations in that where a lot of people died. So he must have been the one who gave the order to just like, you know what, it doesn't matter, just fire, shoot, like if they die, whatever, right? We're gonna get it back, the planet. So Bill Burr is like, man, not only do I know my history, because the general is like, the commanding officer is like, wow, you know your history. And so Mayfield is like, yeah, well, I lived it. I was there. Like, you thought that was good that those people died, right? Long live the Empire, but they died. You thought that was good for their families. You think it was good for the civilians that they were defending their land. They didn't have no weapons. He tells him, right? He tells Mayfield, the commanding officer tells Mayfield that, you know, right now the New Republic is in disarray, and people, when they think they want freedom, what they want is order, and the Empire brings order. He got so angry at that, you know, being as he's expendable, whatever, they don't give a crap. He shoots the commanding officer when he says, "Toast to the Empire," and then Mayfield starts shooting inside the mess hall. Everyone's alerted. All hell breaks loose as they start to escape. And then you see Cara Dune and Fennec. They're with their sniper rifles covering them as they escape. And then Slave One, baby. Slave One swoops in. Get on Slave One. Blast off. But before they blast off, you see Mayfield gets the sniper rifle. He's like, "Give me that rifle," as I go out of there. Aims it at the rhodium or the material inside the canister, and it blows up the whole Imperial base. They land, they got the information, and guess what? Mayfield is a free man. But I thought it was so cool how just as they were blasting out into space, right, into the atmosphere, Slave One releases a depth charge, which totally explodes those two TIE fighters. And I'm like, man, totally destroyed them, just like in the Clone Wars, right? Just like in Attack of the Clones Episode 2, when Slave One released that and it exploded. It released that depth charge. So guys, amazing episode, 5 stars. But before we go, let's just talk about that Rambo moment that Mando had. Basically, Moff Gideon, he phones Moff Gideon up, and he word for word tells Moff Gideon the same exact thing that Moff Gideon told him. You think you know what you have, but you don't. I'm coming for him. It's like very Rambo. He's like gonna come now for the rescue, and Moff Gideon doesn't like that one bit. Guys, thanks for watching our video. This has been OC from BAMMCOMIXS. This episode was a 5 out of 5 stars. And if you like our show, make sure you subscribe, hit those notifications, hit that like, and in the comment below, let us know what you thought of the episode. This has been OC from BAMMCOMIXS. Peace.